It's now time for The Sit Down with Don Tony.
The Sit Down, where Don Tony talks one-on-one with his followers.
What are you looking at?
About the world of pro wrestling, pop culture, and so much more.
The Sit Down with Don Tony.
And now, your host, Don Tony.
You ever start a project and you get so obsessed with trying to complete it that hours and hours and hours and hours go by and you don't want to stop under no circumstances? That actually happened to me late last night. Welcome, everyone, to the latest edition of The Sit Down, hosted by yours truly, Don Tony. It is November 12th, 2023. I want to thank you very much for joining me, as always. For everybody who's live or on the archive, welcome. We will get into everybody's questions in a few moments. And tonight, as you will see, there's a little ticker, a little timer in the right-hand corner on the video side of things. The reason being is because at 9:05 Eastern, we are definitely cutting this off. I actually have to do something after the show is over. So I'm not going to turn into a pumpkin at 9:05, but we have to finish around that time. But before we do anything else, before we get into everybody's questions, a lot of you already know I've been doing this since 1997. And in 2001, I had this bright idea of taking my wrestling hotline reports and putting them on the web. And it caught on. I mean, the numbers were insane at the time. They're still excellent now, but they're a little bit divided amongst different platforms, which is cool. But the thing is, the audio of all the work that I've been involved in from as early as 2001 to around 2020, when Kevin and I had split for a few years, it's been offline. And people have been asking me to put it online, and we are going to slowly start bringing everything back. Can't do it all overnight because it costs a lot of money, a lot of bandwidth, a lot of storage. But the hotline reports in the early days of webcasting, in the early to mid-2000s, the audio quality was not very good, especially the hotline days, because back in the late 90s to early 2000s, we did it through our telephones, not even an iPhone, a cordless telephone. So if you've ever heard audio online of someone doing an interview through a telephone, you know how that sounds. There's no bass. It's plain. It's kind of annoying to the ears. And that's pretty much the quality of all my work up until around 2007, where I started using, I think, Skype and some other outlets out there. But somebody sent me an audio forensics program. And the program normally cost about $1,000. Now, obviously, 90% of the features I would never use. But the person sent me this forensics program that's supposed to help me improve the audio quality of my old hotline reports in the early days of, the Minority Report, where we all used telephones. So yesterday, I took one of my Blackheart episodes from January of 2002, and I started running it through all these forensics. Now, I know some of you on my Twitter already heard this earlier today, but some of you have not. I'm going to share something with you right now. This is nowhere near the finished product, but it kind of blew me away what you can do with technology these days. I have a 1 minute, maybe 90-second clip of a hotline report that myself and Matt Zombie did in January of 2002. I want you to hear the original audio, and then I want you to hear about 6 hours of forensic work that I did last night. I will tell you right now, it is not the finished product. For some reason, I sound like I have a massive cold and I am missing half of my teeth You listen to Ric Flair talk and you listen to Mick Foley talk sometimes when they're missing their teeth. Or you got like problems with your mouth. I sound like I have a lisp, but get a load of this. Check out the original audio from 2002.
Word round the WWF campfire is, and you know what? We got to give the devil his due. I don't like Bob Ryder, and we got some choice things to say about Bob Ryder, Joey Styles, and XPW later on in the report. But hey, he was right. He called it. You know, it wasn't official when he called it, but according to Dave Meltzer, and, you know, Dave Meltzer ain't Bob Ryder. Now, is he, Anthony?
Oh, not by a long shot.
A lot more credible. Dave Meltzer is saying that Vince did address the front office, and he said he has signed Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Hulk Hogan.
I'll give Bob Ryder credit. My only problem is when you report it 3 weeks in a row, soon enough you got to get it right.
Yeah, no shit. And any chances of Brett coming in to lead the invasion?
I don't know.
The invasion ain't happening no more. Okay. He's in the WWA now.
Well,
but this announcement, you know, got to the boys, and, you know, like, you know, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, I don't know about Scott Hall. He only made enemies with people who he, like, you know, keyed their cars and, like, pissed in their gym bags. But, you know, he ain't a political fucking mover and shaker, you know? He got everywhere he got because of Kevin Nash and Shawn Michaels, right?
Correct.
I mean, come on. Scott Hall, a fucking mediator and negotiator?
I thought it was brilliant because nobody was talking about Scott Hall for the last couple of weeks.
You mentioned that in your report with Bryant, I remember.
Yeah, that was the same night last week that I said Diamond Dallas Page would be on SmackDown.
All right. So now I want you to hear the audio after about 6 hours of playing with forensics yesterday. This is what it sounds like now. Just give it a couple of seconds. Wait for it. Wait for it. Here it comes.
Word round the WWF campfire is, and you know what? We got to give the devil his due. I don't like Bob Ryder, and we got some choice things to say about Bob Ryder, Joey Styles, and XPW later on in the report. But hey, he was right. He called it. You know, it wasn't official when he called it, but according to Dave Meltzer, and, you know, Dave Meltzer ain't Bob Ryder. Now, is he, Anthony?
Oh, not by a long shot.
A lot more credible. Dave Meltzer is saying that Vince did address the front office, and he said he had signed Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Hulk Hogan.
I'll give Bob Ryder credit. My only problem is when you report it 3 weeks in a row, soon enough you got to get it right.
Yeah, no shit. And any chances of Brett coming in to lead the invasion?
I don't know.
Oh, the invasion ain't happening no more. Okay. And he's in the WWA now. But this announcement, you know, got to the boys, and, you know, like, you know, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, I don't know about Scott Hall. He only made enemies with people who he, like, you know, keyed their cars and, like, pissed in their gym bags. But, you know, he ain't a political fucking mover and shaker, you know? He got everywhere he got because of Kevin Nash and Shawn Michaels, right?
Right.
I mean, come on. Scott Hall, a fucking mediator and negotiator.
I thought it was brilliant because nobody was talking about Scott Hall for the last couple of weeks.
You mentioned that in your report with Bryant, I remember.
Yeah, that was the same night last week that I said Diamond Dallas Page would be on SmackDown.
I think after hearing that through the computer speakers, I think I sound like I'm 100 years old. I sound like I got no teeth. Doesn't it sound like I have a cold and I have no teeth and I'm on my deathbed and I'm like 95 years old? But can you believe the technology now and believe it or not, there's actually another program I'm trying to get my hands on that it actually takes your original audio, turns it into some type of, I don't know what, but then it's redone as like a robot. Like the robot is supposed to sound just like you. But I just figured I'd share it with you because I am trying to get this stuff back online. And yeah, we could put it in its original form, but if I can perfect this a little bit more, if I don't sound like I'm missing teeth, I'm 99 years old and I sound like I have a cold, then we might be onto something. And I will say this, it'll be easier with the hotline reports because there was a time when myself, Kev Castle, Joey 924, Black Moses, and others, we were all using phones. So our audio quality is all shit. So it's not like you have one that's better than the other. So I'm kind of excited. You know, this is going to be a fun ride. There's already 3 or 4 episodes posted on Patreon. I will upload some of them this week on DonTony.com, and we'll see where this goes. But I was kind of blown away. I figured you all get a kick out of that. So that's original telephone, cordless phone audio, and now what you can actually do. So I'm not going to lie to you. I'd rather listen to the original format. I could deal with, telephone audio still, but, not everybody can deal with that. So, all right, to sit down, very simple. For the next, 45, 50 minutes, I will be here live, and we will be discussing whatever those who are live and in the chat room has on their minds tonight. If you have a question and you would like for me to answer, just put in capital letters the word question so I could spot it quicker. If you have a comment you want me to share with everyone, just write comment before you comment. Super chats not required, but obviously they help pay the bills, and they will always get. See, I'm getting tongue-tied. I'm starting to sound like that robot. They're always appreciated. And they'll always get some VIP treatment. And by the way, look, Total Nonstop Anthony. That's what you got. Total Nonstop Anthony. One of my old intros. TNA. We're back. Yeah, I bought the shirt. Hey, I don't think this is going to amount to much of anything. It's kind of like a product that doesn't sell well on the shelf, and you spice up the label. That doesn't mean that people, you might be able to do that to kids. You make like a cereal box look awesome, but the cereal tastes like shit, and the kids don't care. As long as you load it up with sugar and you put milk on it, they'll eat it anyway. But TNA, if the product was catching on, they would be doing far more than 95,000 viewers. So changing the label, I don't know if that's going to be enough. But, hey, they got me to buy the shirt, so I'm wearing the shirt. I wished them well. You got my support. Now you got to deliver. And if you need my help, DonTony at DonTony.com. People keep asking me, would I ever work for a promotion right now? Yeah, I would. Part-time. I would definitely contribute anywhere I can. But anyway, let's get into questions. And I see 2 came in before we went live. So Ronnie C, thank you, Ronnie. Always sending something. Thank you for the 10 spot. DT, do you really believe AEW sold 10,000 tickets for Full Gear? All their shows lately have crappy attendances, and none of my friends seem to be excited about the pay-per-view either. My thoughts. They could have sold 10,000 tickets. Yeah, I haven't paid attention of what the prices are for the tickets. If the prices are reasonable, and I live in that area where Full Gear is taking place, I would go. Let me say this, being totally unbiased. When was the last time AEW had a shitty pay-per-view? They give you a lot. So you might be tired after, and you might feel that it's overkill and maybe a little bit too much, but they don't really give you a bad pay-per-view. So you go, you're getting your money's worth, So, yeah, they could have sold 10,000 tickets. But I will say this, everyone out there, remember the D word, because the D word is what websites are doing now with the D word is what the same websites used to do with the TNA rating. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, back in the day, TNA, WWE, the ratings would not be based on number of viewers. It would be based on a rating, 3.1, 2.7, 1.9, 6.4. You look at the Monday Night Wars, we just talked about that recently. TNA, when TNA's ratings started to, and if you think that I'm bullshitting, go look up history and you will see it, because Kevin and I covered it in real time. When TNA's ratings started to get really, really low, when the aces and eights came around and they were god awful, the talents tried, but the story was god awful at times. We used to call them the aces and 0.8s because their rating used to be 0.8. And then it went to 0.6 and 0.5. And then suddenly, some of these news sites that were, in bed with some of the people working in TNA, suddenly the TNA rating was no longer 0.5, 0.8, 0.6. Now it was 817,000 viewers, 644,000 viewers, 377,000 viewers. And I remember we used to talk about it, and because they were doing it for TNA, they had to do it for WWE as well. Now, you look years later, now that is the standard. Not denying it. That is the standard now. All right. But if you pay attention, the demos, they still use 0.26, 0.19, 0.37. So they started moving away from the 0 point whatever because it sounded awful. We had the Monday Night Wars up until 2001, and then WCW went out of business. And, at that time, 6.4 to 3.2, you looked at it like, holy shit, wrestling got a 9-point-something rating. As wrestling ratings started to decline and TNA got so low, websites got creative because 0.5 sounds horrible, but 395,000 viewers doesn't. So now they're doing the same thing with ticket sales. All of a sudden now, pay very close attention because people are just very, very cute with this. It starts with AEW. Back then it was TNA. Now it's AEW. Now they're using the D word, and that is distributed. Distributed. No more ticket sales. Yes, Meltzer for decades would do house show attendance. Attendance doesn't mean tickets distributed. You could distribute 10,000 tickets and only 6,000 people show. They're using the distributed word now because they're covering up the amount of tickets that are actually sold. You give away 1,000 tickets, you give away a 2-for-1, a 3-for-1, a 4-for-1. So 10,000 tickets distributed. Ronnie, I think you need to check whatever website you were reading that from. I have not seen any wrestling news website say AEW Full Gear has sold 10,000 tickets. I've seen websites say they've distributed 10,000 tickets. That doesn't mean they sold 10,000 tickets. That is the new cute word people are using. Take note of it. Because back in the day, we used to talk about that with TNA and the ratings. Now they're doing it with tickets distributed. Nah. I could have 1,000 people at a party if I give away the tickets for free or next to nothing. That doesn't mean that I had an amazing turnout, but then I realized, holy shit, I made no money. All right. AG is asking me, who is the devil? And how would I book the reveal? I don't care about the devil storyline. I would not have booked the devil storyline. Because wouldn't MJF be pissed off right now? Who stole my mask? Who stole my mask? Like, how did they get the mask? Did they break into his car? Did they break into mommy and daddy's house? I hate the devil storyline. Because who the fuck? Yeah, it's cute now. I see all these podcasters. Oh, could you imagine if it's CM Punk? Yeah, could you imagine if it's my dead grandmother? Like, it's not going to be CM Punk. Like whatever the reveal is, you want to impress me? Let it be Keith Lee. And be like, holy shit, Keith Lee lost a lot of weight. What's the reveal going to be? Adam Cole? Adam Cole? For me, it feels like it's Adam Cole. If it's Jack Perry, I don't care. I'm not a fan of Jack Perry. He's a fucking baby. Because he's a devil now, I'm supposed to be like, oh, wow, does he change his hair? Does he no longer wear Ray-Bans? I mean, I don't care about the devil storyline. Just because AEW thinks Oh, we got this amazing storyline. Oh, this is long-term booking. That doesn't mean that it's good. I don't care about the devil. I don't care about it. Where's it going to lead to? Jack Perry? Adam Cole? Who? Somebody from New Japan that 99% of us don't care about? The devil storyline does not intrigue me whatsoever. And I'm being straight up. I have total respect for anybody out there who's into the storyline. Cool. Don't listen to what I say. I'm just giving you my opinion. I am not into this devil storyline at all. I could care less. The only person, actually, I take that back. There's only one person that would intrigue the fuck out of me. And you already know who it is if you pay close attention to my shows, because we kind of joked about it. It was me, Maxwell. It was me all along. No, not Vince McMahon. Tony Khan. Tony Khan, as the devil, would be the only person that I would be like, oh, because I have said for a long time, Tony Khan will ultimately be a character on TV. That motherfucker's ego is so fragile that I could see him being a character on TV. The only person, if it's Adam Cole, they'd be like, if it's Jack Perry, I could care less. Seriously. The only person would be Tony Khan. Yes, it would be ridiculous. The whole storyline is ridiculous. Listen, the devil, I think, is going to have a click. Could involve Samoa Joe. Could involve Jack Perry. It could involve the Kingdom. It could involve a whole group of people. But if it's not Tony Khan, I could care less, to be honest with you. There's nobody out there. Seriously, fill in the blank any way you want. If it's Dolph Ziggler, I don't care. It's like, there's nobody that would intrigue me. Like, nobody. Okay. All right. Okay. Eric is asking, do I think Drew McIntyre gets added to Wargames? No, I don't think so. Even if he does in storyline, Drew McIntyre is going to turn his back on Seth Rollins. He's going to, listen, I think Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins may end up having a rematch at Wargames. I don't want Drew McIntyre on that team versus the Judgment Day. They could tease it. Rhea Ripley wants Drew, and Sami Zayn wants Drew, and Drew's caught in the middle. I don't want to see that. I mean, to me, that's as intriguing as, will Jey Uso join the Judgment Day? No, it's stupid. Deuces, out. I don't want to be involved in any faction. And then for a month, we're supposed to believe that Jey Uso might join the Judgment Day. And the funny thing about it is, because Jey Uso locks eyes on Rhea Ripley, what is Rhea Ripley suddenly like, this promiscuous woman? No, she's not. And she's not like that goddess that you look in her eyes and you turn into like mush. So, no, I don't want Drew McIntyre. And if he wants a turn on everyone, that's fine. But no, I want to see Drew get a rematch against Seth Rollins. Only thing I want to see. Zachariah, what's up, Zachariah? After Wargames, does that mean that Io, Dakota, Kyrie, and Asuka will turn on Bayley? Can I see a babyface return for Bayley? Yeah, I could see a babyface return for Bayley. Absolutely. I think Bayley is at the point now where fans really want to cheer her. And I think this kind of character that she's got right now has gotten a little bit played. I think the fans really want to get behind Bayley once again. And honestly, I think, it's funny. You look at Bayley now, and in no way, shape, or form am I saying that Bayley is old. She's not. Bayley is kind of like a veteran now. And yes, before anybody says anything to me, Asuka is older than Bayley. I get it. But Bayley comes off like somebody's aunt. Doesn't Bayley come off like their aunt, like she is a lot older? The perception. I almost feel like that clique will get rid of Bayley like the Judgment Day got rid of Edge. And I could see Bayley going out on her own. I'm a big fan of Bayley. I have nothing negative to say about Bayley whatsoever. But if you see Bayley's character amongst Damage Control, she comes across more of like an aunt, not as like a fellow member. So I think that could ultimately happen. But Bayley, I would be fine with her being a baby face again. I think, that would be cool. Do I want to see a hugging again? Those days of the hugger are pretty much gone. But I wouldn't mind seeing her as a baby face again. Absolutely. I see the super shout out came in earlier from Sticky Fingers Frank. Thank you, Stick. Can I call you Stick? Early props for that preview. When you posted Oscar with Damage Control a few days ago before SmackDown, I was confused, but now I know why. Do I think Shotzi and Zelina are kind of weak for War Games? Shotzi, no. Shotzi has actually performed quite well in this environment. Yeah, she's had some moments that, 2 years ago that were kind of shitty, but Shotzi has earned her keep. And honestly, yesterday we talked about the idea of Jade Cargill being in War Games, and I don't like that idea. I think that's too much too soon. I think Zelina Vega would even out the team a little bit more. I'd want to see Jade Cargill debut, absolutely. But I don't know if I would have Jade Cargill debut as a member of Bianca Belair's team. I kind of feel like the Zelina Vega, Shotzi, kind of like evens things out. You know what it is also? A lot of us feel there's no way Jade Cargill is going to lose her first match out. So if you put her in War Games, you say to yourself, would WWE dare have Jade Cargill lose, even if she's not the one pinned? Would she lose her first match? I'm not sure about that. So I'm fine with the team that I put up out there. So rumors of Becky Lynch joining Team Bianca. Raul, I would love to know who's putting those rumors out there. As of right now, the women's War Games is only SmackDown women. So Becky being a part of it, that would be interesting. But, how do you explain that with the relationship of Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce? They don't get along. So why would one allow to? Nah, I wouldn't do that unless they work out something like, all right, let Jimmy be on this team and you let Becky. It's like, it's kind of goofy. I don't see that. I don't see Becky Lynch in War Games. Not at all. Didn't Becky Lynch make her return last year at War Games? If I remember correctly, she came back and the interesting thing is what I remember more than anything is people were noticing how small she looked, like she had dropped some pounds. I'm pretty sure Becky made her return last year at War Games. Did good. Michael Gonzalez, have I seen Jonathan Coachman's interview? It's worth a listen. I have not seen it yet. The only thing that I have heard coming out of it is that he never wants a return to the WWE. I'm a fan of Coach. I follow him. If he doesn't want to go back and he's got that much of a bitter pill to swallow, hey, it is what it is. There's been several people in the commentator announcing world that have left and never came back. If you really think about it, somebody might make it. Listen, do I think Coach will never be on WWE TV again? I absolutely believe we will see the Coach on WWE TV again. It might be a one-time appearance. It might be for an event. But as far as a regular employee, if he doesn't want to return, hey, that's his right. That's his right. One thing you got to realize, though, is this WWE is not the WWE that he was employed with. This is a lot different WWE now. So, he says, yeah, XFL owes him money that never paid him. Hey, you honestly, and I say this with respect to Jonathan Coachman, cry me a river. cry me a river. If it's that big of a fucking deal, why didn't you sue? Why didn't you file small claims court? Why didn't you say this in 2002? You wait 20 fucking years to say it now? What about all the people that got stuck with tens of thousands of dollars from ECW? It's like if Jonathan Coachman is complaining now, 20-something years later, and never told anyone for 20-something years, I don't have sympathy for Jonathan Coachman. Sorry. If it's that big of a fucking deal, imagine this for all you people that follow Jim Cornette. Imagine Jim Cornette and Brian Les talking about Case Media, whatever, Cast Media. Imagine them having that conversation 20 years after it happens. No, they're owed money now. You open your fucking mouth now. He never opened his mouth. I have no sympathy. Dream says it's about his most recent run, not 20 years. If you're talking about Rock's XFL, then why is he not going after The Rock? If it's Vince, wait a minute. Jonathan Coachman came back to Vince's XFL from a couple of years ago? Then why didn't he file some type of a case, lawsuit, something? Even if it was the 2020 XFL, let me say this. Do you think the 2020 XFL is the only time that Jonathan Coachman's ever been stiffed out of money? I don't have sympathy. That guy makes a boatload of money. I don't picture the XFL in 2020 paying him. Why don't somebody ask him how much did they stiff you for? Did he ever reveal how much they stiffed him for? How much did they stiff him for? How much did they stiff him for? Give me the amount, and then I'll give you my honest opinion. If they stiffed him for like 50 grand, 100 grand, yeah, okay. But, how much did they stiff him for? I would like to know that dollar amount. Oliver Norgroove with the 2-spot. Thank you, Oliver. Which Jake the Snake Roberts promo and feud was the best? Oof, going back in time, spurred a moment, thinking about it. I enjoyed the Macho Man Randy Savage stuff. I thought that was spectacular. The snake biting Macho Man. I mean, I had that poster behind me for years and years and years. For me, though, my favorite promo that Jake cut back in the day, other than the fable of the snake that Donald Trump was doing on his campaign trail 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it was, you know that fable about the snake that the woman take me in, oh dear, and then the snake bites her anyway, and she's like, why did you bite me? I took you in, I brought you back, and I healed you, and you almost died, and why did you still bite me? Because I'm a fucking snake. That promo when Jake said it back in the day was epic, but his promo with the Ultimate Warrior was great. That's why I had to do my little homophobic tribute, him and the Ultimate Warrior. It sounded like there was sexual relations going on. There's nothing wrong with that, but Jake was awesome, man. Dream, why did I stop doing live call-ins? Honestly, thank you for the 2-spot, by the way. Number one, the same people were calling in every time. The funny thing is, no joke, today I was checking out a 2005 episode of the Minority Report, and it's going to go up in about a week. I'm going to do some cleaning up and editing. But in there, we're taking calls, and we made an announcement that, look, we're not trying to be rude to anyone, but, we have to cut you off there for a certain amount of time because people are complaining that the calls are going on too long. Like, we don't need you to stay on, just so you could say you're welcome when we thank you for the call. And that was recorded 18 years ago. Unfortunately, and I don't mind the same people calling in, but, honestly, people that are enjoying the shows, after a while, they're like, oh, the same people every week calling in. And I don't mind, doesn't bother me, but I'm trying to do a show for tens and hundreds of thousands over the year, tuning in, not just for 40 or 60. And that's what was happening. It was and another thing is some people were calling in. If you go back and you listen to some of those calls, some people were calling in just to call in. And that's what we ran into back in the days that Kevin and I took calls. Like somebody would call in, hey, what's going on? Hey, this is John from Flushing. Hey, what's up? What's going on? Oh, nothing. Did you catch Raw? And Kev would be like, yeah, that's why we're talking about it. And then people just call in. Unfortunately, that's why I do the Q&As and we do the sit-downs, because we can mix it up on the shows. But, I mean, that's honestly the reason why more than anything else. Yeah, and you know what? Right now on Patreon, and this is not a Patreon plug. It's going to be on Don Tony later this week. But I put up yesterday, it was the 12th of November. Yesterday, I put up an episode from November 12th, 2006, I think it was. And there's calls. People called in on those shows. So you could check those out. All right. Eric is asking, what do I think of Tony Khan's announcement of AEW's own G1? If this is the tournament that's going to culminate at the New York pay-per-view at Nassau Coliseum, and Bryan Danielson is involved with it as well, I got to be honest with you, I'm kind of tired of tournaments. G1s, we've had some great tournaments over the years. I say this with nothing but respect, but there's a way to do tournaments. There's a time to do tournaments, and there's a time not to do tournaments. And a lot of Tony Khan's tournaments are I hate to use other people's terms. I don't want to use lazy booking. It's creative laziness. All right, I want to have Bryan Danielson take on Claudio Castagnoli at Nassau Coliseum in December. How do I do it without a storyline? Oh, I get it. Let's do a tournament. And then Claudio will be in the finals in this bracket, and Bryan Danielson will be in the finals in this bracket. And look, now they're forced to fight each other. I am kind of getting numb of tournaments. There's going to be a fucking tournament for Ring of Honor's TV championship. When tournaments, let me put it this way. When tournaments feel like they're being done so you don't have to do a storyline for the next month and a half, it doesn't intrigue me. You look at the Owen Hart Cups that they did. When they did the first Owen Hart Cup, Maki Ito was in it. Please do not misconstrue what I'm saying. I like Maki Ito. She is fucking fun. She puts smiles on people's faces. And she is she's not great, but for what she does it well. You explain to me how Maki fucking Ito is in the first ever Owen Hart Cup. It's like, come on. Seriously? So, honestly, this G1 tournament, you want to, get me interested, start, moving away from these tournaments and start doing some things intriguing to force two people to fight each other than because it's the finals of a tournament. Benjamin, I'm not criticizing Maki Ito in any way, shape, or form. I would pay to see her. She's not wrong with it. But sorry, we didn't even get a video. When I grow up, I used to watch Owen Hart. Owen Hart, I used to be big fan of. I want to wrestle. And if you don't like that I am in tournament, fuck you. We didn't even get, why is she in this tournament? That's just my honest opinion, man. Tournaments are fine. But when tournaments feel like laziness, oh, we're going to do these matches and they're just put together and it's going to... tired of it. Chris says I'm funny. How the fuck am I funny, you asshole? Seriously. Fuck. No, I'm kidding. How are we doing on time? Holy shit, it's 8:44 already. Oh my God. Rocky Red, how would I rank the BL, the black, between the Usos and Solo Sikoa? How would I rank the BL? The Bloodline. How would I rank the Bloodline between the Usos and Solo Sikoa. And what are my thoughts on Keith Lee, food critic? I don't know much about Keith Lee, the food critic. I know who you're talking about because when I first heard the name, I was like, wait, that's not Keith Lee. And then I realized what people were showing me. He's does like a lot of TikTok videos. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I haven't really paid much attention to him, but I understand why people like him, though. As far as how would I rank the bloodline between the Usos and Solo Sikoa is still new to the main roster. WWE has done a fascinating job with Solo Sikoa. The thing that's great about Solo Sikoa is, even though he's lost some important matches, he's been pinned in some important matches, he has not lost any of his luster. Solo Sikoa is great. And the moment that still sticks with me? Seriously, this is one of my favorite, besides going on my honeymoon and seeing Solo Sikoa win the North American Championship as a surprise. That was cool. Showing up at NXT in Florida and seeing that was cool. But my favorite Solo Sikoa moment is when Roman Reigns started laughing at the idea of Solo Sikoa, as tribal chief, or remember that moment when they were all in the ring and they were teasing, and he started laughing and Solo Sikoa gave him that look? That crowd fucking popped. And when Solo Sikoa picked up, did he pick up that necklace? I think he picked up the necklace. I don't think it was the championship. And Roman was wondering, what was he going to do with it? And the crowd went nuts. That is my favorite moment so far with Solo Sikoa. I think he's doing a great job. He's not one of the top stars, when you look at the overall things. It's just starting. But I like what they're doing so far. I do. Mark is asking me, will Ric Flair wrestle a match in AEW? No, I don't believe he will. I think he will take a bump once in a while. He will definitely chop some people. He will definitely get physical a little bit, but I do not see him having a match. I think it's just too risky. And, the last thing that you want, even if Ric Flair was 95 years old right now, and people are like, well, he lived to be 90 and, he still had an amazing life and, he went out on his terms. I don't want to turn into an AEW event and see someone drop dead in the ring, especially when they have a pacemaker and a heart condition and when near death. You're just asking for it. I don't want to see that. I don't want to have, when he had that match a year or so ago, all I kept thinking about was, I hope this motherfucker doesn't catch a heart attack. I hope his fucking pacemaker doesn't go off and he starts having fucking spasms. I don't want to see that. I don't want in the back of my mind to think, because sometimes when you watch wrestling matches, you can't help but to think to yourself, who's going to come out and cause the DQ? Who's going to come out and turn it into a clusterfuck? Sometimes it's necessary, but sometimes it's annoying, and I don't want to see Ric Flair when in the back of my mind, I keep thinking to myself, is this the moment? Is this the moment? I don't want to be like, oh, he got through the match. No, I don't want to see him wrestle again. I don't think he will. I don't think he will have an actual match. Steve, do I think we'll see an LA Knight Logan Paul feud start at the Royal Rumble? That Royal Rumble's so far away. I think LA Knight beating Logan Paul down the line for the United States Championship would be pretty damn cool. I think people would love that. It's not the World Championship, and that's fine. The World Championship is going to be for Cody Rhodes. Seth Rollins' title, different scenario. Hopefully it's Drew McIntyre that gets it next. LA Knight versus Logan Paul, I think would be great, man. Because I could see LA Knight cutting awesome promos on Logan Paul. And Logan Paul is one of those heels you want to see him get his ass kicked. I mean, outside of Kevin Owens feuding with Logan Paul down the line, LA Knight, I would buy in for that. No, Logan Paul will be back next week or the week after. You know, that was the funny thing. I didn't bring it up yesterday, but I thought about it on Friday night. When they said that next week Solo Sikoa returns, I was like, he hasn't even been gone for a week. He was gone for 6 days. Like, he wrestled at Crown Jewel. I didn't even put up the winners of the predictions contest yet. And they're like, next week Solo Sikoa returns. I'm like, he's been gone for just one episode. Kevin Milwaukee, what's up, Kev? How come Taz never got sued by Warner Brothers over the likeness rights of the Tasmanian Devil? Because he wasn't moving around acting like the Tasmanian Devil. You know, he wasn't out there with, you know, like coming out to the ring instead of going, survive if I let you. He wasn't like, he wasn't doing anything that looked like the Tasmanian Devil. Taz is not a copyrighted name that nobody could use it. WWE added the extra Z to avoid problems. You know, the other people have used the nickname Taz in the past, and it's not resembling, you know, a cartoon character. So that's why he was never sued. You know, it's different when you go to like Hulk Hogan, because back then, you know, they used to call him the Incredible Hulk Hogan, and then Hulk Hogan with the trademark things, and, you know, they had to, you know, handle that legally. But Taz, just because there was a cartoon character named Taz, you know, doesn't mean, I mean, you look at all the other cartoon characters out there that have names similar. I mean, did they sue Uncle Elmer because of Elmer Fudd? I will sue you. You can't use my name. It's Taz. We thought of Taz as the Tasmanian Devil, but even when he was in Eastern Championship Wrestling, look at my graphic. You see where the clock is on the screen? That's Taz as the Tasmaniac. See above my Deliman mask? That's the Tasmaniac. That was Taz as the Tasmaniac in ECW. But even there, he didn't, you know, as that character. He was barefoot, but he wasn't going around. You just similar names, but yeah, no. Couldn't sue over that. What would they sue over? You're using my name. Suffer and Succotash. Yes. All right. Okay, let's stop bringing this home, because I legitimately have to do something at 9:30, and I need like a few minutes. I'm not going to somebody's house wearing a Total Nonstop Action shirt, so I have to shit, shower, and shave and be out of here by 9:30. So, Chaos, sub Chaos. He was fortunate to work on a handful of events with Taz in the late 90s. That is awesome, man. Taz, I have always been a fan of. Always. That's why I have it there. I mean, anything you see behind me, I mean, not only do I appreciate the artwork, but these are people that I personally have enjoyed. Some more than others, but Taz I've always enjoyed. I will never forget when he debuted against Kurt Angle and he stretched him out. That crowd went fucking nuts. And the beautiful thing about it is I have my hotline report from that night when Taz made his WWE debut. Taz was great, man. I enjoyed Taz very much. Where's the New Jack merch? I have New Jack shirts. I have some other signed stuff from New Jack. I don't have a poster to put up yet. Listen, there's about 50 people I could put up behind me. Where's Magnificent Morocco? Where's Jimmy Snuka? There's a lot of names. I have to unfortunately pick and choose, but I'm trying to think if I have any New Jack stuff on my desk over here. I don't, but I have New Jack stuff. I'm looking around. I don't see anything. So, all right. Raul is asking my favorite wrestling finisher from back in the day. Favorite wrestling finisher. When I was a kid, I used to love the Masked Superstars neckbreaker, and I've told this story before because my friend gave it to me when we would play wrestling in his basement, And when he swung me around, my head hit the edge of his steps and knocked me out cold. But for me, my favorite wrestling maneuver was probably Paul Orndorff's pile driver. Because not only did you pile drive the motherfucker, I mean, Ray the Crippler Stevens was the first person I saw use the pile driver. But when Paul Orndorff used to jump up in the air, I swear on my fucking family that me and my friends used to always try to do that to each other when we would go in the pool. You would go to do the pile drive and you jump up, and because we were too weak, you know, I mean, even though we were kids at the time, you know, lifting up 140-pound fat Don Tony at 5'5", you know, like nobody was lifting me up. So you try to pick up the person and jump up to jump in the pool, and you just like flop in the pool. But Paul Orndorff's pile driver was awesome, man. And you saw it in person. He would land and you would swear the person's head would bounce off the mat. That was great shit. Chaos, the last wrestling event I saw live. Oh, God. I can't remember. Definitely an indie show. An indie show. I can't remember which one it was. I was supposed to go to 2 AEW events, and, you know, unfortunately it didn't work out. I'm trying to go to the one at the Coliseum. 2 people in AEW has already invited me, and I said, you know, if I'm not doing nothing that holiday week, you know, that, because it's Christmas time, you know, it's around that time. So it's, I think, isn't it the last week in December? I mean, I don't know what I'm doing yet, to be honest with you, but it was an indie event. Oh, yeah, yes, you're right, Relic. You're right. NXT during my honeymoon, but I was only there for about an hour. When I went there and I realized that Tony D'Angelo, that prick, wasn't going to come out and take a picture, and, you know, keep in mind, and I give this a little pass, even though it was only a year and a half ago, COVID was still handled differently in 2022. When we went to NXT, they had buses picking everybody up at a parking lot at a college, and the buses would drive to the performance center. And me, I didn't get on the bus. I drove straight to the performance center, and I parked in the handicap lane because I had the handicap sticker and my ankle was fucked up, especially when I fell on my wedding night, which I still have not showed you all the footage. I have video. I will show it one day soon. But I parked there, and, you know, we went inside and I met a few people, and, you know, I was like, where's Tony D? We got to take the picture. And they're like, oh, he's a little tied up right now. You know, after an hour, we were like, you know what, let's head back. So we went back to Disney. Any plans of going to Mania? No idea yet. No idea. I would love to do a meetup, and I would love, you know, to have a little reunion with some people. That's an expensive reunion to do. Mania is possible. Money-wise, I mean, I can make it happen. I'm not, you know, putting myself in debt, you know, for the WrestleMania moment. I mean, I've been to 10 and I enjoyed it, but, you know, no. Nope. We'll see. We'll see. And I'm not doing a GoFundMe. Send me to WrestleMania. I know 2 podcasts that did that. It was so tacky, man. You can't afford to go Mania on your own, then you don't go to Mania. Can I see Nick Aldis versus Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 40? No, I don't. No, I don't. This whole suspension storyline was just to explain Kevin Owens not being involved in Survivor Series. That's all it was. There's nothing personal. Kevin Owens is still working the house shows. It's not going to amount to anything. I would see Adam Pearce versus Nick Aldis before I see Kevin Owens versus Nick Aldis. Benjamin is asking, how painful was it to hear Bryan Danielson praise Tony Khan as a booker last night? It doesn't pain me. I mean, look, if I was working for Tony and Tony was paying me well, I'm not going to crap on him. You know what I mean? Like, Tony Khan is paying a lot of money, and we're enjoying some wrestling to some degree. and I'll always be appreciative of that. Some people totally get mad when I say we're all using Tony Khan, but the fact is we're all using Tony Khan. Tony Khan, this is his hobby. This is his love. This is his piece of ass. I hate to say it, guys. This is Tony Khan's piece of ass. Anybody out there that's ever had a piece of ass, whether it's a guy or a girl, and you just blow all your fucking money on that piece of ass because you love that piece of ass so much, you're gonna he is a sugar daddy for AEW. If AEW, you could say it's a woman or a man, however, whatever floats your boat, but AEW is that piece of ass, and he is fucking the sugar daddy of it, and we get to enjoy it. And honestly, every single person working in AEW says the same thing. They'll never say it publicly. They would be a moron to say it publicly, but they know deep down inside that is his piece of ass. If he was married and he had kids and he had, certain responsibilities, I guarantee you he would not be pissing away tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars when that money could go into a college fund and the kids and the future and his wife or his husband, whatever floats his boat. I could care less. He's got no family, no wife, no husband, no kids. I don't even know if he has pets. This is his piece of ass. He is a bachelor with billions of dollars. I can't take it with me, so I might as well blow it. He is the billionaire Wrestlicious. And I want to see Tony Khan as the devil. Tony, you must be the devil. I order you. Somebody asked me the other day if Tony Khan ever tuned in to either Blackheart Sports Entertainment Hotline or the Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle show with a Minority Report back in the day. I have no idea. The beauty about it is as we put the old archives up, I'm going to listen. I have to listen to these because I have to, make sure that there's anything really, really controversial that would not be, acceptable in 2023, that is kind of cleansed a little bit. I'm sorry. We're not going to edit out much. I mean, I was listening to something today when Sharmell made her WWE debut, and we were just talking about Sharmell's looks, and we were complimenting her. But, at this stage of the game, she's married, family, Booker's wife. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't probably not going to let that go through. My point is this. When I listen to the calls, how fucking epic would it be if we're like, hey, Tony's on the phone. And, it's him back in the day talking about, I don't think he ever did, because we used to criticize the Ring of Honor fans. Remember the Ring of Honor cronies? Remember I don't know if we had a big audience of hardcore Ring of Honor fans at the time. So Rick Ariel says Tony Khan is like the Ashton Kutcher of 2.5 Men owning a wrestling company. That's not bad. Listen, one cool thing about Tony Khan is, money's no object, and seriously, if he wants something, he will overpay to get it. And getting back to the Bryan Danielson thing, I had no issue with Bryan Danielson saying what he said yesterday. I mean, that's his boss. Even when I had that issue with Bully Ray back in the day with TNA, I told him privately, I said, how could I accept your challenge? Like, you're going to admit publicly that Dixie Carter is wrong and, this and this. Like, why would you say that about your employer? I mean, honestly, I don't expect anybody to be bashing their employers. It would be stupid. You got to put your personal, your career, your family, your livelihood before everything else. So I never have an issue with that. All right, we're going to start bringing this home because I got stuff I got to take care of tonight. Unfortunately, I know it's a little bit shorter than usual. By the way, thank you, everybody, for the feedback unexpectedly about Wednesday's episode of Wednesday Night Dynamite. I did an hour. It did not go longer, and I purposely did an hour. I didn't feel well, but people like, wow, that hour flew by, loved it. we're going to do more shows that are only an hour long. Not that I'm going to get lazy or cutting back stuff, but, I don't want it to be overkill. So I think sometimes doing a 60-minute show is easy listening, and it's not, plus when we're starting to bring back retro stuff, you got episodes 2, 3, 4 hours long. So those will more than make up for it. So, all right, let's take 3 more questions, and then I'm going to jet. Could I see Tony Khan buying the NWA? No, I don't think Tony, listen, this is not a shot on NWA. I don't think Tony Khan gives a fuck about NWA's legacy. You know what I mean? Like, if Impact had a way of buying NWA, I think Impact would probably have a better shot at it. Tony Khan is Ring of Honor, ECW, New Japan, FMW. It's pretty amazing. And this is not, again, a plug, but the episode I put up yesterday of November 12th, 06, with Kev and myself, we're talking about TNA, and we were talking about, all of the WWE, stars going to TNA, and the TNA, roster being concerned about their future and this and that. And we were talking about Dixie Carter and what Dixie Carter was envisioning her product to be. And it really wasn't about NWA. And I don't think Tony Khan really cares about the NWA legacy. Of course, it's an important legacy. Sting came from the NWA. Ric Flair, duh. I mean, NWA has a strong history, but I don't think Tony Khan cares about that legacy like the others. Why would he own it? Just to own it? No, I don't see that. All right. Let's see who gets the second question of the third. I'm looking for something good. This is not a question, but yeah, look, I'm looking to see what Impact does in 2024 with TNA. I hope they do something and it's worthy of attention. I will give it the attention if it's warranted. But I have this fear that it's just going to be a new label with the same thing. By the way, don't forget, Wednesday, we'll be talking a little bit more about the NWA stuff. It's going to be interesting when we talk a little bit more about NWA and the CW network, because the more I talk to people about it, the more that I'm starting to realize that the CW network may not have been upset about this drug skit. And plus it was like spoofing like Halloween, and there's like a lot more to it, but we'll talk about that Wednesday. I'm actually looking forward to that conversation Wednesday because I have a feeling we're going to be spot on with that. Kyle, as far as who's the next breakout star to carry TNA, there's nobody. I mean, if you can't get Jay White to attract viewers, if you can't get Will Ospreay to attract viewers, I mean, Will Ospreay was on New Japan on the same fucking network this past week, taking on Zack Sabre Jr. and did less than 40,000 viewers. Like, there's nobody that is going to be that guy. And even if CM Punk were to come into TNA wrestling, CM Punk is going to be there for a short period of time, which I don't even think that's going to happen. But even if it did, it's just a Band-Aid. It's like, what is really? I mean, after he leaves, where are they? To me, I think that would be worse than what they did with Kenny Omega. And Kenny Omega did a great job. But at the end of the day, to me, Kenny Omega and TNA damaged TNA. Not because of Kenny Omega, but because TNA sent a message to their roster and sent a message to their fans that our own wrestlers, not Moose, not anybody else at the time, were not worthy enough to be our champion. So we had to use an AEW guy and to get that extra exposure and buzz. And I think they damaged their product big. There's nobody out there that's going to pick up TNA and run with it. There's nobody. Zero. There's nobody that's going to pick up any promotion and run with it. All right. Last question. Let's make it a good one. Jim Ross I won't count this one, but Jim Ross is not coming back for WrestleMania. Jim Ross is still AEW. He's taking some time off for health precaution, because he has some issues and they don't want to overdo it. He's not returning for WrestleMania. So, all right. As about a question okay. All right, we can end with this one. It's kind of like a hybrid of what everybody's been asking. Do I think CM Punk returns before WrestleMania? Yes, I do. I absolutely do. CM Punk will return before WrestleMania. I am still convinced CM Punk will take on Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Hopefully there will be no championship on the line, but I definitely would like to see it. We don't need a Cody Rhodes repeat where we go to WrestleMania weekend, and with all due respect, hey, did you hear the clip I played early at the beginning of the show showing you that forensics audio? We gave love to Dave Meltzer in 2002. So I am a supporter of Dave Meltzer, but I don't need WrestleMania 40 weekend, him going on Denise Salcedo's podcast and saying, it is possible that CM Punk did not sign a deal with WWE. I don't know. I don't remember if it was Dave Meltzer or Brian Alvarez, but one of them went on Denise Salcedo's podcast 2 years ago. And not a shot on her. She does great work. There's not a criticism on her. But, I hated hearing the day before Mania that it is not a lock, that Cody Rhodes worked out a deal, and there's like, no, I don't want to hear that again. And I know there's going to be people out there that are going to listen. I will say this before I get myself in trouble. I do believe that at that time, whether it was Brian Alvarez or Dave Meltzer, that they truly were not sure if Cody was going to return. I'm not saying that they were lying, but I don't need that put in my face WrestleMania 40 weekend. Have that motherfucker appear on TV before Mania. This way, that weekend, we don't have to deal with anybody saying, it is not a lock that CM Punk signed with WWE. There's no lock that he will absolutely be. No. We don't need that. I think CM Punk, if he's going to return to WWE, absolutely will be back on TV before WrestleMania weekend. All right. I'm going to jet out of here. Oh, no, Chad. I'm just speaking the truth. I don't care what anybody reports, but I don't need the day before where we're hyping up and excited to see Cody Rhodes take on Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 38. I don't need the day before having people put in my mind that, it might not happen. It's like, no, we've been building up excitement and talking about it and looking forward to it. And everybody is, getting pumped up, and especially like, how's the crowd going to react? Him coming from AEW, this and that. And to have someone the day before, throw that out there, I was like, why? Not necessary. I don't want to deal with that for WrestleMania 40. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm out of here. And I will be back tomorrow after Raw for your post-Raw show. Don't forget, tomorrow is the next to last Raw before Survivor Series. So tomorrow we should get at least another match announced for Survivor Series. What that match is, hopefully it's Drew versus Seth. I expect to see some progression there. We may see a women's match go down. I'm not sure because we have Wargames likely going to be inked this Friday, and we already have Rhea Ripley and Zoe Stark. Why they did that, I'm still baffled. You tuned into Saturday's show when we talked about the ratings. I swear to you, I don't remember the last time that someone caused over 300,000 viewers to turn the channel. And that's what happened during Zoe Stark's win and confrontation with Rhea Ripley. Wasn't it like 350,000 viewers? That is kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. Nobody talked about it, I'm out here, everybody. enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hopefully I'll see you all Monday. And don't forget, Tuesday night, Kev and I will be doing a special episode of the Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle Show. Next Tuesday will be Survivor Series predictions. And then Thanksgiving weekend, I will be away for a few days. But there'll be a Q&A episode going up Thanksgiving night. It'll be on a timer. And the Survivor Series recap will be Sunday night, the day after Survivor Series. I'll be back in time for that. So be well, everybody. Much love.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.